Welcome to the dream, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Damashi, and we are back for the second episode of the FF6 Saga. If you haven't done so already, please like the video, and remember to comment on your thoughts down below. I deeply appreciate all comments as I try to develop my own unique brand and style of content. If you don't like the video, please be sure to tell me why, as criticism can be just as helpful as praise so long as it's done respectfully. In fact, hell, I made an entire series doing just that, which you can check out in the description, as well as the text annotations. Anywho, let's talk about Mog. This is a bit of a Mog showcase, as he's really the only source of auras for this party. As many have said, if you are a new player, Mog is one of the banners you should probably pull on first. Mog has pretty alright auras for this point in Lufenia aura, and he'll be a massive help for getting you through old content, as there is very little he isn't useful for, and there are very few teams he can't be run in. He provides 65% attack up, along with 20% brave damage up. He also provides 75% max brave up, and 20% stolen and gained brave overflow. In this fight, it's pretty easy to take HP damage without dying, so you can combine that 65% attack up with Odin's Blessing for 95% attack up. My Terra Spear also has a Saz Spear, bringing the party's total attack up to 100%. Odin also provides 15% defense down, which combines with Terra's Meltdown debuff for 45% defense down, Monk speed down combos with Terra's Meteor speed down for 30% down. And I gave Terra a Fusion RF Spear, bringing that up to 34%. Terra is actually going to hit her HP damage caps later, with only Mog supporting the party, which is pretty impressive. So I'm using Hope Call to start off because Hope has the support Keystone, and once you call him, your entire party now takes advantage of that particular Keystone, which raises the amount of damage that Terra can do. I believe her cap is 124,999, which is pretty great. So this wave, I don't want to say it doesn't do anything special, but it's not particularly dangerous until the end. So once they do Ferocious War 3, they will do an AoE Brave HP attack that dispels all buffs, and then kills you. It is an insta-kill, you can't survive it. So it's imperative that you kill them before that, and that's why Terra's here, because she's a turn cheater, and we can just save one of her LDs for the last portion of this fight, before they can get off their attack after Ferocious War 3. Mog's pretty good in fights that involve 3 enemies, because his follow-up is only 3 brave hits, but it's 3 AoE brave hits, meaning you can actually turn out some pretty decent damage in these kinds of fights. And once we get things like Kurosame Call, that damage is going to skyrocket. Of course, it won't be as good as, you know, having an actual DPS like Terra Strago. But, you know, every little bit of damage helps. Strago's here for his massive amount of AoE damage, and also for the second wave, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Oh, another thing that's good about Hope's Call is that it's a buff extender, so you get 2 buff extends with Hope if you bring Hope Call, and Strago's LD buff is one in which you can extend. Most LD buffs you can't extend, but Stragos and Ardens are ones that actually allow you to do so. Purposely taking some HP damage to make sure that Odin's Blessing eventually proc. To make sure Odin's Blessing has procced, I actually can't tell. But just to make sure that it does. And I'm using Terra's LD here for two reasons. One, I don't want to have to deal with Ferocious Roar 3. Two, when Terra is at full health at the start of the last wave, and there you can see Terra doing max HP damage thanks to Hope's Call. Once you get to the last wave, with full health, Terra will get a 15% boost to all of her stats, because I have 3 perfect arts for Terra. To this point, this wave can't really do anything. We've got Strago delaying them with his LD, as well as really high 100% AoE HP damage. We've got Terra also doing absurd AoE splash damage. And in case of emergencies, we've got Mog's Confuse on deck. So I don't think it procced a single time in this fight, which is amusing. I know it's going to proc a lot during the next wave, and I can't wait to talk about that. So as much as this first wave's a Mog showcase, Wave 2 is a Strago showcase, really. And any video with Terra in it is a Terra showcase. You all know how broken she is by this point. There's a reason she's still being used on JP. And there's Ferocious Roar level 3. It's terrifying. But thankfully, they're dead. And we don't have to worry about it. Alright, so Wave 2 is rather infamous throughout the DFFOO, throughout the Opera Omnia community, for being a massive DPS race. You cannot raise these orbs at all. You just have to do enough damage for them to either go away or kill them. That's it. Another thing that makes this fight really annoying is this. They absorb almost every element. Thankfully, Mog has Imperil, but I didn't think to use Imperil turn 1. I was like, oh, it should be fine, right? Not realizing that Mog's skill 1 and skill 2 are what apply his Imperil. His EX does not imply his Imperil. His EX is honestly kind of bad. Its recast is apparently normal. That's a lie. It takes a while to build up. And it has so many Brave hits, but only 1 HP dump. Now, that HP dump is 100% AoE, but it's only 1. And at this point, a single HP dump, even if it is a full AoE, even if it is 100% AoE, isn't great. It needs to do something else to make that useful. Like, say, Sephiroth, which has absurd gravity. You are sending that enemy's Brave to 0. Or X-Death. It sends the enemy's Brave to 0, and you get a debuff out of it that makes sure they can't do HP damage, and you get battery out of it. So yeah, Mog's AX is kind of unacceptable by today's standards. So yeah, we batteried them up, but it was worth it to get that Imperil back on, so that Mog stops healing their Brave. Fortunately, here's the next problem about Mog in this fight. His follow-up is odd-numbered hits. Strago's Skill 2, which is Brave to Death, only breaks targets when they are even-numbered. You can see the problem. Thankfully, an odd number plus an odd number is going to be an even number. So if we can get Mog to go again before Strago, we can deal with that. Man, I hate these bears. They're kind of the worst. That Brave Damage Aura is a nightmare. That's the real reason this fight is infamous. Not just the orb. It's this aura, on top of them absorbing almost all elements. I can't remember if it's water or thunder that they don't absorb. It's one of the two, and that's why Mog is actually able to do damage, because he enchants himself with both water and thunder. It's likely thunder that they're not resisting. Now, thankfully, Strago does have a second insta-break attack in his LD that doesn't have a... I don't want to say bad or annoying conditional, because enemies are multiples of 2 more often than you'd think. And here's the next reason Mog is kind of bad for this second wave. Confuse. I kind of have to hope that Mog doesn't confuse them, because they need to attack to get rid of their Brave Damage Aura. And I lucked out and got unlucky and managed to get it confused. We live in a strange world where we don't actually want Mog to confuse things. Thankfully, one of them wasn't confused, so we're getting at least a little bit of damage out of Strago's Skill 1. And since one of them has the Brave Reduction Oregon, I can target the other one, and not have to worry about them getting confused. I do still have to worry about that resistance/absorb thing, though. Two confuses in a row. Boy, is an Armog special. So nice seeing Terra hit those HP damage caps. Again, only with Mog. Only with Mog and Hope Call, helping her out. Mog has some insane overflow. People wouldn't sleep on Mog as much as they do if he had an HP damage up aura, which sadly they did. Sadly, they didn't give him an HP damage up aura, because if they did, he'd be right up there with Balthier and Cecil. But they didn't. They just gave him a Brave damage up. It's a Brave damage up that's active, like, most of the time, but still. If they gave him HP damage up, or at least party enchant, people would sleep on Mog a lot less. He's still really good, especially for new players. But it's understandable why so many are skipping him. He is good. It's just there are so many characters that have come out before or around him that are more specialized, and specialized roles are very important for veteran players. They're less useful for newer players, but for veterans, specialized characters are where it's at. When you're still building a roster, jack-of-all-trades are super useful. But if you're a veteran, you probably have several jack-of-all-trades characters. So you don't need them. Figured it was about time I finally used Kaya's Call. So I don't know exactly how the call mechanic works in regards to Keystone. I know Hope's Keystone activates, but I don't know if Caius's does. If it does activate, well then, that's an extra 20% attack up. Not 20% attack up, 20% defense down happening here. And I'm pretty sure Caius also has, I think, 50% defense down in one of his debuffs. So, that's not actually going to help because they're going to be cleansing that soon. But that 20% defense down from his Keystone will still be helpful. Assuming it does activate like Hope's. I don't know. I also don't know if that's actually intentional. Maybe I'll ask on Discord if it is. So at this point, you would either summon or use whatever burst you have. In this case, Terra. We're gonna burst because I like saving the summon for the end. Because when the orb comes back, it's gonna have... I believe the orb count's gonna be 9 when it comes back. Which is a bit of an issue. Now, I actually messed up during this burst phase and pushed them a little bit too hard, which is going to result in Ultimas doing 1s. I wish Terra's Ultima ignored defense like it does in Final Fantasy VI, but doesn't. Maybe when she gets her next rework and BT Plus and LD board rework, because her LD boards actually don't do all that much for her. Maybe then they'll give Ultima some love too. Maybe make it ignore defense, like it does in Final Fantasy VI. And maybe they'll do the same for Forsaken. Because they need to do a lot to Forsaken to make it actually good. In fact, they've buffed Forsaken several times throughout this game's lifespan. It's still not a good burst. I'm sorry, Kefka, your burst is really bad, but I'll save my Kefka burst rants for the next video, because I actually run Kefka in the next episode of the series. The next episode of the series won't be going up tomorrow. I'm pretty sure the next Opera Omnia content that will get uploaded is Abyss. But after that, provided the next episode of RPG Musings isn't done by then you'll get the next episode of the FF6 Saga, which will include Kefka. I don't want to say Notorious Lufenia, but it was notorious for me, because I had so many troubles beating that Lufenia when it came out. So even though we're only doing 1 brave damage, Terra's, well, Ciaran's HP damage up is making up for it. Her battery and HP damage up, rather. Again, we're running into the same problem of, oh, it's Mog's turn right before Strago. He has odd number Brave hits. And I have to worry about him accidentally confusing the enemy. Again, thankfully, Strago has a skill that can break targets without having to worry about, you know, that problem of Brave to Death not breaking odd-numbered enemies. I said that really wrong. I hope you understood what I meant. I don't talk the good. But I'm trying. Got 2 burst rush. Yeah, we got 2 bursts. Let's try that again. We got 2 burst heals from Moogle Rush left, so I thought might as well use one of them. Get Mog back up to full health. And I'll save the next one for when it's Mog's next turn. So I forgot to mention, another annoying thing about this fight, if you are below 50% HP, they dispel you. And their attack also does Brave hits. So yeah, keep your HP high, keep their Brave at 0. Honestly, I should have Odin'd earlier and gotten way better launches as a result. But this is still going to be a decent launch. $250k damage in a single turn. Not something to sniff at. But at this point, I was getting tired of this, and it's about time we wrap this up. And that's all she wrote. Lufenia is done. Hope you enjoyed this little Mog and Strago showcase. Strago, who will be coming back in 2 months, so if you like what you saw here, he's only going to get better. So, be on the lookout for him. Next video, well, next FF6 Saga run will be on X-Death's Lufenia, and we're not going to be bringing Celeste. No tanks. If you enjoyed the content of this video, please like the video, comment down below, share the video around, and subscribe to the channel, because it tells me you like my content and want me to keep making it. It also helps the channel grow. Until next time, later.